You've probably heard it a million times, right? That you only use 10% of your brain, or that a bigger brain automatically means a smarter person. Well, today we're going to put those popular beliefs under the microscope. We're separating brain fact from fiction using what neurologists actually have to say about it. So let's start with this one. It's such a simple idea, isn't it? It just kind of feels like it should be true. For centuries, people have connected the sheer size of a brain directly to how smart someone or something is. But as you're about to find out, the real story is so much more complicated than that.
And then there's this one. This is probably the most famous brain myth of all time. I mean, it's everywhere, in science fiction movies, in self-help books, this idea that we all have this secret superpower just sitting there dormant in the other 90% of our brain, just waiting for us to unlock it.
Okay, so what if I told you that both of those ideas are completely, totally wrong? Yep. According to the neurologists, the way our brains really work is far more complex and, honestly, way more amazing than any of that fiction. All right, let's tackle that first myth, the one all about size and smarts. To really get why it's wrong, we actually have to take apart our whole idea of what intelligence even is. Turns out it's built on some pretty shaky ground. See, this is the whole thing. Size just isn't the main event. A brown bear has a much larger brain than a human, but you don't see them writing novels or composing music. And why is that? Because real intelligence isn't about raw size. It's all about complexity and specialization. Our brains have these incredibly developed areas, like our language centers, that let us think in abstract ways. That's the real secret sauce. So, what about IQ tests? They seem to give you a hard number for how smart you are, but the backstory here is really fascinating. The test was never, ever meant to rank people's intelligence. It was originally designed in France as a tool, plain and simple, to figure out which students needed a little extra help in school. Its whole purpose was about support, not creating a pecking order. And that gets to the heart of the problem, One single test can't possibly measure the entire vast spectrum of what intelligence is. It totally misses emotional awareness, social skills, and all the talents that you develop over years and years of practice. Think about it. Neurologists aren't just born doctors. They spend a decade learning and training. Intelligence isn't some fixed number you're stuck with. It's dynamic and has so many different facets. Yes, the old fish is brain food saying. I'm sure you've heard this one. And while it's mostly a myth, there is a little tiny kernel of truth in there, just not in the way you probably think. Eating a piece of salmon isn't going to magically boost your IQ score. The real magic here is in the bigger picture. Fish is a huge part of things like the Mediterranean diet, which is just fantastic for your overall health. It keeps your cardiovascular system in good shape, and that, in turn, helps your brain by preventing serious things like strokes. So no, it's not about making you smarter. It's about keeping the incredible organ you already have healthy and working at its best. Okay, so if intelligence isn't about size and you can't just eat certain foods to boost it, then how does the brain actually work? Let's pop the hood and look at the owner's manual for this incredible machine. Let's just get this out of the way and be perfectly clear. The idea that we only use 10% of our brain is completely, 100% absolutely false. It's a myth that somehow started way back in the 1800s and has just refused to die, but modern science has completely thoroughly debunked it. In fact, you're using way, way more than 10% of your brain right this very second. Just to read the words on this screen, your occipital lobe is processing the visuals, your temporal lobe is understanding the language, your frontal lobe is keeping you focused, and your brainstem is keeping you awake and alert enough to do all that. Thanks to modern brain scans, we can literally watch the whole brain light up with activity. We use all of it, just not every single part at the exact same time. So what about being left-brained or right-brained? Well, that's another one for the myth pile. Now, it's true that the two halves of your brain have specialties. Like, for most people, language processing happens mostly on the left side. But your personality is not stuck on one side. The two hemispheres are in constant communication, working together. When a neurologist talks about brain dominance, they're talking about where a specific function is located, not whether you're a logical person or a creative one. So understanding how the brain works is step one. Step two is figuring out how to take care of it for the long haul. Let's get into some practical ways to keep your brain healthy, from when you're young to when you're old. A lot of us worry that getting older just means losing your memory, period. But that's really not the whole story. While your episodic memory, remembering things like where on earth did I park my car, That can decline a bit, but other types of memory can stay super strong or even get better. Your semantic memory, which is all your vocabulary and facts, and your procedural memory, for skills like playing the piano, those are incredibly tough, and this normal change is absolutely not the same thing as dementia. Here's another really dangerous myth, that strokes are just a matter of bad luck. The truth is, so many of the biggest risk factors are things that are actually within our control. I mean, look at this list. You see the common theme, right? It's all about cardiovascular health. A healthy heart and clean blood vessels mean a happy, well-fed, and protected brain. And because every single second counts during a stroke, everyone should know the FAST acronym. It's a super simple tool to spot the warning signs. Check for facial droop, arm weakness, and speech problems. And if you see any of those, it is time to call 911 right away. This simple little check could literally save someone's life. Okay, let's talk for a minute about seizures. The official definition sounds really complicated, but the neurologists we're drawing from put it in a really simple way. It's basically when your brain cells freak out and all start firing at the exact same time. It's like a sudden electrical storm inside your head. Now, this leads to a really, really important difference. Having a single seizure does not automatically mean a person has epilepsy. A seizure is just one event, and it can be triggered or provoked by all sorts of things. Epilepsy, on the other hand, is a chronic condition that's defined by having multiple unprovoked seizures. Knowing that difference is absolutely key. So, we've busted some big myths today about intelligence, about how the brain works, and about keeping it healthy. So what's the one big idea you should walk away with after all of this? I think this quote from one of the neurologists really says it all. It's so powerful because it's so simple and so true. The brain you have right now is the only one you're ever going to get. Understanding it, fueling it the right way, and protecting it from things you can prevent, that's not just a good idea. It's your responsibility. So, we'll leave you with this question, because knowledge is really only powerful when you actually use it. Now that you can separate the myths from the science, how are you going to take better care of the most complex, most incredible organ you will ever own?